In today's world, there's a gaming version of everything. Gaming fans, chairs, desks, CPU coolers, RAM and SSDs. And more often than not, it's pure marketing without a real benefit to you as a customer. So I was also quite skeptical when I got my hands on the RedMagic Astra. Because at its core, it's a sleek, roughly 9-inch tablet, which is actually quite a nice overall form factor. And since it has been a while for me since I took an Android tablet for a spin, I thought I would give it a go. So what makes this thing gaming, and why does it actually make so much sense to include one of these in your kit even as a die-hard PC gamer? Well, it's not the see-through glass window at the back, even though I got to admit it looks quite sick, and for me personally it's also not really about the last-gen flagship SoC from the folks over at Qualcomm, even though this little guy ranks quite well in our performance testing, and it's also not really the fact that this one is even actively cooled. So what is it then? Well, I took the Astra with me during my vacation in Hawaii a few weeks ago, and it not only became my go-to entertainment device for that time, but I actually did most of my gaming hours with this one and finished Clair Obscur, for example, on it and played the initial hours of Borderlands 4. How I did that and why it worked so well, how about I tell you all about it right after the intro. I already mentioned it earlier, the Astra is made by RedMagic, a gaming-focused sub-brand of Nubia, and they also make some pretty cool-looking, very well-featured smartphones that are especially catered to mobile gamers with fast screens, active cooling and capacitive trigger buttons. And again, the styling might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I love it. It's just a very refreshing take on how a smartphone or a mobile device in general should look like. They also just recently announced a successor to this one right here, and it looks even better. Let me know if you want us to check it out on the channel, and if you want our detailed review for the XR Pro, follow the link to our written review, since I would really like to focus on the Astra today. I told you already it's running one of the fastest mobile SoCs you can still get your hands on to this date, and pairs the silicon with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. But the main attraction, if you ask me, is the 165Hz OLED. So not only do you get the usual almost instant response times, super accurate color reproduction and insane contrast, but the Astra also peaks at more than 1000 nits of brightness, which makes whatever type of content you consume just pop off the screen. So I watched most of Alien Earth on this one and also finished Foundation, and as a bit of an OLED aficionado, it's just pure joy to have a screen of this quality in such a tiny package, easily accessible, no matter if you are chilling on your couch, commuting to work, flying or reading a book at the beach in your summer holidays. And of course, gaming. So I am not that big on mobile games, especially not with a touchscreen, but what made the Astra work for me was three things falling into place during my time with it. So in addition to the tablet itself, Razer also sent over their Kishi V3 Pro, and if you have seen our review for their latest high-end controller for PC gamers, the Wolverine, and remember how much I liked that one, you can imagine my surprise that a controller made for phones and tablets basically delivers almost the same experience. So you get the same overall quality feel, the super clicky D-pad and ABXYs, and some solid feeling triggers and bumper buttons, and with these little rubber thingies you can adjust the fit for all sorts of devices. So it not only fit the RedMagic XR Pro with ease, but also the Astra, even though the offset USB-C on that one is not quite ideal to begin with. Nonetheless, once I paired the two devices, it actually does not really feel like a tablet somehow cobbled together with a mobile third-party controller, but almost like a proper handheld with a 9-inch OLED, which is actually quite awesome if you ask me. So that's 2/3 of the puzzle, and last but not least, Nvidia also released the RTX 50 series upgrade for their streaming service Geforce Now. And not only does this mean a significant performance boost, but you also get access to DLSS 4 and MFG. And with a new compression algorithm, they also up the overall image quality. And quite honestly, for story games, this is almost as good as running things natively, and considering that you usually cannot experience AAA games on Android, let alone on a tablet, well, it's a proper game changer in my opinion. In the corresponding app, you can easily just connect all of your accounts, be it Steam, Xbox Game Pass, Epic or Ubisoft, and without having to install anything, you can quickly jump into any game you own on whatever platform. Prior to doing so, I adjusted the settings in the app to allow me to stream in roughly QHD and up to 120Hz to take advantage of the Astra's display. Unfortunately, it did not let me activate HDR, so I hope that this is something Nvidia can sort out in the future, since it would make the overall experience even better, especially with such a high quality OLED you can enjoy in this puppy. After you've done all that, you can simply jump into any game, and considering you basically got a desktop RTX 5080 rendering all of your frames, you can pretty much max out everything, and we are even talking ray and path tracing. So in addition to running Clear Obscure with around 120 FPS on a tablet in QHD, the latest DLC for Indiana Jones with full path tracing got me around the same numbers, even though I had to take advantage of DLSS and MFG to be fair here. Still, for these kinds of games, this is simply such a great experience, and considering the Astra lasts for about 12 hours in our Wi-Fi battery test, you can expect quite a few hours of uninterrupted gameplay, considering Geforce now behaves like a regular streaming service. Of course, this is all being streamed from a server somewhere in the world, so what about latency? Well, during my time in Hawaii, the closest server Nvidia had available was somewhere in California, which isn't exactly around the corner, so I was sitting at 60 milliseconds. This sounds quite high, and I was also quite skeptical if this would be alright for an enjoyable experience. And to be honest, it was. Since it was locked at 60 milliseconds consistently, you kind of got used to it, and after a few minutes it felt totally natural to me, and I did about 10 hours in Clear Obscure without a problem, and even jumping into Borderlands 4, a first-person shooter after all, was not really a problem. If you are comfortable playing such a game with a controller, that is, which I am definitely not, I have to admit. At home, I got a much better 14 milliseconds connecting to a server in Frankfurt, which is much closer to my place, and with that, honestly, I do not think many people could tell things are not rendered natively here, at least not when it comes to the in-game feel. The complete lack of fan noise and the additional battery endurance of the tablet might be a giveaway though. Of course, this will all depend on both your internet connection and what kind of Wi-Fi you have at home. For now, I have a 250 Mbit connection, and the cryptically named but well-performing ASUS BE7200 is taking care of sharing all those juicy bits with my devices. I have actually been using this one for a while now, and it's doing a great job giving me coverage all across my apartment, despite some pretty solid walls between many of the rooms here. And in addition, you get quite the assortment of LAN ports, most of which are 2.5 gigabit, with one of them getting the 10 gigabit upgrade. And with the USB port, you can also turn this one into a sort of mini NAS or backup solution. So yeah, I know, even to me it feels a little bit like cheating using the Astra as a gaming tablet this way, but I would really urge you guys to try it out. Being a PC gamer and just being able to jump into a few of the most graphically intense games on my couch with a tablet attached to a mobile controller without having to deal with fan noise, game or driver updates, and just being able to crank the settings and still enjoy a high-end gaming experience, especially for story games, well, the times we live in. Let me know what you guys think about streaming games in general, and if you have tried it, with which service, and how was your personal experience with it. I would really love to know. And maybe also let me know how you would use something like the Astra, and if you have some mobile game recommendations I shouldn't miss, sound off in the comments below as well. If you want all of our usual benchmarks and general test results for this one, make sure to head on over to our website for the written review. Alright, that's it from my end for today. Thanks a ton for watching, folks. Make sure to leave a like and sub on your way out. My name is Alex, you have been fantastic as always, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.